welcome to Rich Conversations. Right now, we're in the field. we're on the farm in Wisconsin. If you're watching on video, you can see us. We're in the tractor, John Deere 9200, and I've been up in Wisconsin this past week, helping out on the farm. So it's planting season. It's late May. And the fields are finally dry enough to get in. Otherwise, like, you get stuck. Like, I almost got stuck over there a little bit. I've gotten stuck twice in my life, in my experience on the farm. Like really stuck, where I had to get, like, we had to take the tractors and chains and pull them out. One was like really bad. It was like in a field, and it was the farthest field that you could go. And it was raining, and it's on a hill. I've never felt, there are a few things where I felt like that bad in my life, where you call up dad and like, hey, I got stuck. So getting stuck is something, and it's kind of like probably like a juvenile male mentality of like, I want to get every speck of land. I want to like be aggressive. But sometimes you got to be smarter than that. But what we're doing right now is we're disking. So we're planting. We plant corn and soybeans. And so right now in this field, we had corn last year. So there's remnants of the corn stalks. And what we're trying to do is disc it up so that it doesn't get stuck in the cultivator. Now, so after I'm done disking, we'll come out, we'll hook up the cultivator. And so the cultivator now preps the land. Like, it creates this nice soft bed of soil for the plants to go in. So nothing gets jammed up. The seeds just go real nicely. Rather than going into like digging into hard dirt when you're planting. So this is the first day. This is my fourth day up here, and first day disking. I was on the cultivator before prepping, so it's been good. I enjoy it so much. Like, I live in Chicago, but like, I grew up out here. This is people don't really understand that, and it's like hard sometimes to communicate your actual background, because in the city there's no one that like grew up on a farm, or if they have, they're resentful of I don't know what. I've only met one other person who grew up on a farm in Chicago. But this is who I am and a part of me. So being back, it's great, because like this feels like a vacation. Miami, like, we were just in Miami, right? And a couple of weeks ago, it's a month ago now, wow. And people think that was a vacation, and it was, but it didn't really feel like it, because I'm always being stimulated by all these new things and experiences, and you want to go do all these things. But here, this is, if we're thinking about it in terms of relaxation, meditation, recharging, refreshing, this is where I recharge. And so I look forward to it every year. Planting season, because there's a window. There's a very small window to just like get all the planting in. Because like May, especially early May or late April, you try to get in, as soon as like mid to late April. But it just rains constantly, so the fields are all wet, and then you can't go in the fields when they're all wet. But usually like mid-May to late May, lately that's kind of how it's been of being dry enough to get in. And you want to get them in quick so that they can start growing, right? Obviously. So there's this window, and then I'll come up from Chicago and help out. And it's great because, like I was saying earlier, it feels like a real vacation. Like, I'm just out here in the middle of the field, and you're just one with nature. Like, you can smell the earth, you can feel the dirt through your hands, and it's just like you're just one with nature in a way. And I'm just sitting on a tractor for for hours at a time. The other day, so it was raining yesterday, so we weren't out in the fields. The day before, I was on the tractor for 12 hours, and it flies by. It flies by because it's so different, right? Like I've been on a tractor since I was before a teenager, and just like the technology, right? Like, we're recording this on an iPhone. We have like a little suction cup thing that's holding it. I did experiment, and in other fields it was a little too bumpy, so I couldn't record there. But technology's come so far where, like when I'm first in the fields, all you got is like a radio, and then maybe the signal was strong enough to come in, and then at the same time, like inside the cab, it's so loud because we'll have like older tractors. Now this one is a bit newer. For those of you that have followed the podcast and kind of my journey, you're aware that almost 4 years ago, I was on a tractor very similar to this, and it started on fire. And the engine and oil line blew. The engine, and then so like a tree line's up ahead, right? So then I see this tree line, and then I immediately I hear this loud pop, and I see the tree line. So I like go over here to shift to neutral. By the time I look up, there's flames already by the cab here, and that's when my stomach dropped, and all I could think was like jump. So I just opened the cab door over here and I just jumped. And that tractor was 1988. This one I believe is like around 2000. But through the years we've like upgraded tractors a little bit, so the doors will actually shut, so there's less noise. And what I say earlier about like passing time and being on the tractor for so long, years ago, I would then, so now it's like I can hook up my Bluetooth and put it through the radio, and we got speakers here, or I can play it through the iPhone, and I have headphones, and then I have these other earphones right here, and so that it'll like block out the noise, and you can hear everything pretty well. And before, like as a teenager, you're limited in what you can listen to. So it's just the radio. Maybe you get like some talk radio. Then the FM stations, you've got like one or two like top 40 stations, and you have an oldie station, a country station, a classic rock station, alternative rock, and then you're just flipping through them as each of them are on commercial break. I would always look forward to the times where sports games are going on, like local, so I can listen to the Packers or the Brewers or the Badgers or the Bucks. Now, with technology, like I was telling my parents, I get in, way past dark, and they're like, oh wow, you were out there for a long time. And I was like, yeah, it's no worries. Like, time flies because now I can listen to any song that's like ever been recorded through Spotify. I can listen to podcasts, audiobooks, all of that, right? I can listen back to audio recordings that I have on my phone. And what's interesting too is like being in these fields throughout the years, right? So I've been in these fields for 20 plus years. And this is something I really enjoy, is that no matter where I am in life, or what's ever going on, like these fields don't change much. That oak tree is still there. That oak tree is still there when I was 13 years old, 15 years old. And it's this relieving feeling that I appreciate. It slows everything down, and I'm able to use this time, like we were referring to it as a vacation earlier. It's like, one, I can help out the family, but because I know how important it is to just like get in the fields, get work done, get out, because it is so dependent on the weather. So I'm helping my family. We have a family farm. It's 4 generations, and nowadays farms, they're big corporate farms. So this is like say Illinois. I mean, you got farms that have like thousands and thousands of acres, and they got the best machinery. And then once it gets outdated, that's when us family farmers will buy the used equipment. Never knew, it probably wasn't. Probably the early '80s was the last time that we bought something new, and so it helped out, but also I can listen to things I don't normally listen to. Like I actually don't listen. I don't consume a lot of long form podcast content, like in-depth interviews. Very often, I guess I kind of save them for this, right? So like one of my favorite podcasts is the Tim Ferriss Show, and he interviews like world-class performers, and it kind of like picks their brains about like what they know, what they've done, and like how they kind of see the world. And I've been following it since like 2013, and I think what I was gonna mention earlier is like, so while these oak trees don't change and everything, when I'm in the fields, I remember what I was listening to, like years ago in that field. Like this field we're in right now. Let's see, 2 years ago, I was listening to the Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson. I know I've listened to Tony Fadell on the Tim Ferriss Show in this field. Tony Fadell worked at Apple, and he was one of the main designers of the iPod and the iPhone. Like music, I know what music I've listened to in all these different fields, going all the way back to like, I remember in one particular field that I'm going to be in tomorrow, listening to like Hey Ya by Outkast when it came out, and it was on like every station. And so it has a way of kind of triggering memories just based on just like taking a step back and thinking about life, remembering those times and those memories. So I get to listen to more long-form things, podcasts, interviews. The audiobook part is something that I've done the last couple of years. So I'm like learning while I'm out here. And it's a time where I don't feel any guilt of having to be productive or busy or having to, just be on a computer. I'm just out here in the middle of the field, and we're just going at our own pace, and it feels good. Like in Miami, there was even angst of like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta run here, gotta be on the beach, and I don't feel that at all here. It's pretty cool, so it's very relaxing in that sense. I'm learning, and I mentioned the Tim Ferriss show. I think a lot of like this podcast is kind of modeled after that a little bit. Like some people will say, like Joe Rogan, but I don't listen to Joe Rogan. I've seen clips of his show on YouTube, and I've listened to like a few people that I wanted, like interviews that I wanted to listen to. I listened to those long form ones. But it's not like I listened to Joe Rogan and was like, oh, I want to do that. Probably the variety of guests a little bit, but it was really like the Tim Ferriss show and Dan Patrick show, which is like this sports talk show that I've been listening to since 2011. Yeah, 2011. Wow. Bill Simmons. So I model a lot after Dan Patrick, Bill Simmons, Tim Ferriss. And of course, like my own interests and things like that, obviously. Or just seeing how they have conversations with people, who they have on, how they approach it. I've always enjoyed that, and for them it's more casual, right? It's not so highly produced. It's produced, of course, but yeah, I've always enjoyed that. So let's see, the last couple days, what we've been listening to on the tractor is listen to another Tony Fidel interview on the Tim Ferriss show. Michio Kaku, Dr. Michio Kaku, he's a quantum physicist, and he's popularized a lot of physics and science to make it more understandable for people. I'm on a physics kick lately. I'm actually reading his book. I didn't even plan that, but I'm reading his book. I actually have his book here that I brought up with me called Physics of the Future. And something I'm really understanding. And then the other interview that I've listened to with Tim Ferriss is Mark Zuckerberg. And also he does these random shows with his buddy Kevin Rose, who's another entrepreneur. And it's just like, it's interesting to listen to them because they're both very successful entrepreneurs in what like they were in Silicon Valley. Now Tim Ferriss lives in Austin and Kevin Rose lives in Portland. But with podcasts, you get this very intimate glimpse into people's lives and like how they live, the people they interact with. It's very personal, wouldn't you say, like how we're doing it right now. And the tech space was always something I've been like a little interested in, especially like after graduating college and then being back in Chicago. A lot of my friends were in the startup scene in Chicago, and as a young, especially guy, you're always, you wanna be the one or be on teams to create tech companies of the future that are changing the world. And so 1871 was a space in Chicago that a lot of my friends were at, and including Joe Anhal's my roommate. So of course you're always rubbing off on each other and ideas and thoughts. But to hear the Tim Ferriss, so the Random Show is like him and his buddy Kevin Rose would just like talk about different topics, sipping a glass of wine or tequila or bourbon, whatever it may be. And that was kind of one of the ideas of the Rich Answers, where it's a little bit more casual, laid back. It's more solo. It's more, I guess, like about the host rather than guest. So it switches things up a bit. I enjoy listening to that because if you're listening to someone and a host and you've heard their voice for so long, it is cool to kind of like know a little bit more about them, right? So that's why we've been doing the Rich Answers. But yeah, I remember like listening to some podcast episodes out in the fields here. I usually listen to the Beatles. I'm listening to the Beatles out here. So I'm learning from like through these podcasts and audiobooks, but it's also an opportunity for me to step back in life and really like, it's just me in the open field for hours and hours, and it's like it's a good time to think about life. Life is slowed down, and it's actually the most time I spend up in Wisconsin every year. Like usually I'm up for like 2 or 3 days. This time I'll be up for like a week, a little more than a week. So it's nice. It's nice to just hang out on the farm. The time of year, it's been in the 60s, 70s. It's in the 80s today. Yesterday was like 55 and raining. It was cool. I got a basketball hoop on the barn. I love shooting. That's another form of like meditation for myself. Whenever it helps me clear my mind. I just go and I just like shoot hoops. And like knowing my home basketball court in the cow yard, the barn, I'm pretty good at it, except that's where I learned how to shoot and I practiced all those years. But I would listen to, so far I've been listening to the Beatles. I've been listening to Bob Dylan this time. I haven't really listened to Bob Dylan on the farm before. I'm trying to learn more, I think, about him and what he meant to music and culture and Americana and ideas in the country, in the world. I watched this documentary. I don't watch a lot of stuff on Netflix, or I'll watch some like Seinfeld on YouTube before bed, or some clips of The Office or history documentaries a bit. But that's about it. I don't really watch any TV shows or much like that. But I watched this Bob Dylan documentary called No Way Home. And, it kind of caught me up to speed on just like how he started and his impact, especially in the like early to mid 60s. The Beatles are my favorite band of all time, and studying the Beatles, learning more about the Beatles, they were influenced by Bob Dylan a bit, and especially there's this part in like 63, they were listening to Bob Dylan's Freewheelin' album like all the time, and that influenced like Rubber Soul and their kind of direction. There's this famous meeting of the Beatles and Bob Dylan in New York in February. Was it February 1964 or April? Early like 1964. And the Beatles went a little bit more folk and like more personal. Because before this, the Beatles were just all like rock energy and just writing about girls and she loves you, all that, hold my hand type of thing. And they got a lot more personal after Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan went electric after the Beatles. So the Beatles were influencing Bob Dylan, and I know like even before they met, like Dylan would be listening on the radio, and the Beatles, so they're the biggest band in the world, right? They're this big popular band, but they're playing notes that only like folk artists would know, so there's this like appreciation and curiosity that Dylan had of the Beatles, because they were playing notes that like popular music artists don't know and don't play. But the Beatles, they were trained. They didn't read music. They just like would listen to records, and they would like listen. Long story, but like Liverpool is on the west side of England, so, and it was a shipping city. So they would always be the first in England to get access to American rock and roll records. So they would get their picking of these American records, and they would just like learn. They would listen and learn and play. And Paul's dad was in this like kind of folk piano. He would play piano in this group. So Bob Dylan was astonished how these like this popular band is playing all these like notes that like folk artists would be playing. So Bob Dylan, we're gonna have someone on the podcast soon. His name is Bill, and he has a record selling business, and he's obsessed with Bob Dylan. So very soon I want to sit down with him and talk records and Bob Dylan. It's like I can, each one of these things that I'm listening to or reading, I can get a little something of it. Like, and this is kind of how my brain works, is like I don't remember details of really like anything. But I remember like big like puzzle pieces. Like if I'm having a conversation, something will stick out to me that I can then in my brain add on to like what I'm doing or my perspective or approach. So there's always like one big thing that I can take away, because like as far as our like brain goes, we don't have, we're not computers. We can't remember everything, and we're human, and so it's like I know all these big things about many things that like come together and inform and create my kind of mindset and perspective on the world. So Bob Dylan, I've been listening to Bob Dylan. I have a couple playlists that I listen to, or I have like a 2022 summer playlist that I created in Miami. So it's got some like Surf Curse on there, some Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, The Weeknd, got some new Bone Lane on there, some reggaeton. Be in Miami and listen to some reggaeton will come on, they DJ, and I'll be like, oh, what is this? And then someone will tell me. I listened to some Bad Bunny this morning. I was texting with a new friend that I met in Miami, and she's from Puerto Rico, so she was saying how she just listened to his latest album, and it reminded her exactly of like being in Puerto Rico. So I was like, oh, let me check it out. So, with the technology that we have, I was just like, yeah, I'm listening to the Bad Bunny record album. I've been, right before I recorded this, I was listening to my Rich's country tunes. So these are like country songs that I would be listening to back in like 2008. I haven't listened to country as much since, or at all really. But I love the storytelling aspect of it, and it feels good on a tractor, right? Like there's like nothing feels better than being out here on the tractor and listening to like country music, right? It's pretty good. So I'm out here, and we're just we're digging up the land. Like I said, we have so we're disking. Then I'm gonna take the cultivator, and then my dad has been planting, so he'll come with the tractor, and then he'll plant the seeds, the nice soft bed that I'm creating. But it's enjoyable being back. It really is, because it resets myself. I believe more and more, especially as I get older, that there's only two ways you should live, and that's either in the country, or in nature, or in the city with people. And it has to be one or the other. So, or it can't be in between. If you're in between, you're stuck in this purgatory. That's just my own opinions, but it'd be backed up by a lot of urban activists and philosophers and thoughtful individuals. But yeah, I like it out here. It's pretty great. I enjoy it. Hope you've enjoyed this experience. It really is great. I can't emphasize this enough, how enjoyable it is to just be out here, be among the land, nature. I haven't seen as many animals as I've seen in the past. Some wet spots, so there's some geese, some ducks, some hawks around, saw some wild turkeys. There's mice, you can always see mice, and that's what the birds are kind of after. I haven't seen any deer yet. Maybe I will shortly. But yeah. Thanks for hanging out with me on the tractor. This is something a little different. We haven't recorded on the tractor before. So hope you're able to see a glimpse of, rural America a little bit. It's great out here. But don't come and build houses out here and take up the land. That's like a further discussion for another time, but if you're gonna live in the country, embrace the values and traditions here rather than imposing your own ideas and cultures, what it should be. And this idea is certainly going to be explored more But yeah, it's been great up here. Just being in the field, getting stuff done, learning at the same time. Technology is so great now, right? It excites me a lot. It's so cool. So I've really enjoyed being out here, relaxing. It's very meditative. It feels like vacation. And helping out the family and learning and also taking a step back in life. And I think it's important to find, while this has worked for me throughout the years, make sure that you're also finding something in your own life that allows the opportunity to experience that as well in whatever capacity that may be for you. And like, it doesn't have to be somewhere so far away like you would imagine Miami would be. It's actually right here at home, right under your nose, right? A lot of times the answers in life are just right under your nose. Right there. And you gotta have the awareness and openness to see it. So thanks for hanging out with me on the tractor today. It's been a pleasure, and I'm gonna keep on riding out here. Have a fantastic day.